So Don, what are we doing here today?
Today I'm going to show you how to shuck an oyster. Millions of Americans still don't know how to shuck an oyster, and it's fairly easy if you have the right tool and the right method. So we have some Mary oysters plucked from Duxbury Bay, fresh, clean, cold. It's December 28th today. We picked a windy day to show you how to do this. All the boats are in for the day, but we're going to take an oyster. This is an oyster knife. It's a French knife. It's pointed. Has a pretty good point at the end. And basically all you want to do is get that point into the hinge. Just kind of ease it in there. I call it the lollipop method. If you can get enough of the knife in there to hold it up, then all you have to do is twist the knife, sort of break the seal. Now you're in. Now simply all you have to do is take the knife and run it on the top of the edge of the top shell and cut that abductor muscle right there. It was attached right there, and you just kind of run it on the top of that, and it separates it. The knife separates it from the shell, and then on the bottom as well. You just kind of run it along the bottom edge of the shell, and that oyster is free and ready to eat. I'll show you one more time. Get the knife in, just kind of wiggle it in there so that it looks like a lollipop. It's in there just enough so that you can twist the knife and loosen the shell, run the top of the blade on the top of the shell, separate that abductor muscle, and you're in. Want to try?
So why do some people wear gloves or use a cloth when they open oysters?
You should always, if you're opening an oyster for the first time or trying it, people wear gloves, and it's a smart thing to do, because a lot of times when you're trying to get the knife in there, the shell will break just like it did right there, and you'll slip and the knife will hit your hand. So if you do have a glove, it's recommended to use it. But if you don't have a glove, just work very slowly, very carefully. And it's not a force. You're not forcing the knife in. You're just wiggling it enough in where you get it, the tip of it, enough in there so you can twist and move that shell. And as soon as you do that, you just slide, separate that abductor muscle from the shell, and then you get the bottom, and it's totally loosened and ready to eat. Again, you could just use a screwdriver just to wiggle it in. Enough to break that shell away. And then you could even use something as dull as a butter knife to get in there and just loosen that abductor muscle. You can use a church key, you can use anything, pretty much any implement, just to get in that hinge right there. Just get it in enough and twist the knife to loosen the shell.
What about the liquid in the oyster? I hear that I'm not supposed to spill it when I'm opening it. Is that important?
Some people like to keep the liquid in there because it's the real fresh salt water from where the oyster's grown. Some people don't like that much salt in their oyster and like to drain it. Some people believe if you remove that liquid, the liquid within the meat of the oyster will replenish, and you'll really taste the meat of the oyster. So it's up to the person eating the oyster. I personally like the liquid in there. I like to taste the salt water of where the oyster's grown. Duxbury, we're very close to the ocean, just on the other side of that barrier beach. That barrier beach is 6 miles long and it encloses our bay. But over to the right here, past Gurnet, is where the ocean comes into our bay, and our salinity is very high in our shellfish here in Duxbury Bay. So it's one of the unique and most recognizable things about our oysters is the saltiness.
So what do you serve on the oysters then? You've eaten a couple now raw. I mean, what do you like to put on?
I just
them?
like a tiny bit of lemon juice. I think the sweet and sour, it makes this sweet and sour of the oyster. But a real connoisseur, really all you need is a little bit of lemon juice, and that way you can really taste the flavor of an oyster. Cocktail sauce. I see a lot of people put cocktail sauce on their oysters, and really, you just taste the cocktail sauce. I think just a little bit of lemon juice really brings out the flavor of an oyster, and you get to really taste the salinity and the minerals.
And do you serve them cold, on ice? What's the
Always
best?
cold. Always cold on ice.
Okay.
You tuned in to Merry Oysters at merryoysters.com.